Ghost of
because
Tsushima was
what
really
I've seen,
good.
the gameplay looks really good. Like, it's got a really nice combat system to it. It's interesting. What?
Danny just stabbed the screen with a knife,
Oh, I didn't see it.
and you're both preoccupied. Ho, 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 ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Spacemen From Pluto podcast. I am the host for this week, Ben. With me as always,
Dan?
James?
Christian.
today we've got a great episode for you. We're doing a pre-Christmas Day Christmas special.
Yeah.
We will be discussing like the best and worst Christmas films because it's the most wonderful time of the year. Apparently. Apparently.
Supposedly.
We all love Christmas.
Before we break into the best Christmas films, let's just have a quick recap. What have we all been watching or playing this week? Shall I quickly go first?
Go for it.
As the host. I finished watching Queen's Gambit on Netflix, guys.
Okay.
And I have thoughts, Dan. I think I mentioned it off camera. I kind of love the fact that it turned into Rocky 4
Yeah.
as a plot.
Pretty much.
How the idea that she's got to go to Russia to defeat the unstoppable Russian, and it's just Rocky 4. I thought it was like a decent finale, although I think there's a section where it like completely lost it for me.
Go on.
The bit where inexplicably like all of the characters she had met along the way just unite to help her.
Yes, that was a little bit
That
strange,
got very like filmy.
Yeah.
The realism completely went out of the window.
Yeah.
For
One
me.
of a friend of mine actually mentioned that as a criticism as well, and said that basically she just cheated, right? So it's not quite as good. It
Yeah.
wasn't really her. I know that the Russian guy also cheated, so it kind of balanced it out. I don't know if that's a thing in chess anyway. Like you can just ask other people's advice, because if it is, fine. But
Yeah.
I think
I thought like I got the idea of like, oh, they all help, they all team together, but I thought it took away from her winning.
I think I get what they were going for with it. She was, she finally found her real friends and a real family, and and this kind of idea of you can be as successful as successful as possible, but you still need your friends and you still need your support from your support network.
They could have all turned up unannounced to Russia, and they could have given her a hug and say, "Go get him, Tiger," and then she goes and does what she does. But I felt like them just all without unannounced, just all teaming up separately because none of them had met each other. All the other side characters met each other, and they all just suddenly team up and help out. It's a bit like, I don't know, just got a bit silly for me. But it's a good show. It is worth the watch, though.
It is worth a watch. It is worth a watch.
Almost the biggest compliment is how many times they film a chess match, and it's different like every time how they do it, the way they film it, and the guy with the frizzy white hair is the best.
Yeah.
I wish he was in it more. He was glorious.
I bet he's modelled on a genuine chess grandmaster, I bet.
Maybe, yeah. He was great. I loved him. He was in like 2 scenes, James and
Yeah.
Christian, and he stole the show. I wish he was in it more. He was just really a great, nice guy.
Yeah.
Good show. Glad I watched it. Got a bit silly at the end, and it is Rocky 4, but with chess.
It's
so
basically
great.
just a sports kind of film story, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the same
sports
arc.
success film. It's the exact same arc. I thought like maybe they were a little bit like it's a bit cliched how she fell into sort of alcohol and
the
drugs
second
and
to last
stuff.
episode, she just I just felt like out of nowhere she just drinks by herself, and
it was kind of this slightly outdated idea of like being like borderline alcoholic and borderline addicted to drugs is a bit cool, and like we all need to experience these sort of like troughs in life.
And
how many episodes is it?
7.
Yeah.
And she has the Thor arc where she doesn't need the hammer to access the lightning her powers. She can,
yes,
she
yes,
has
yes.
she can access her superpowers without the special pills.
They should have revealed that better, though. You know, like in the first episodes where you first see the chess pieces on the ceiling, and the camera always tracks upwards towards the ceiling, but you always see her like looking up towards the ceiling, and then this big looming kind of hologram of a chess piece will just kind of appear in the same shot. Like, I think they should have done that this time,
Yeah, right.
But it would have been way cooler, I think. But that's just a personal preference.
Maybe the reason that it feels like that, and it feels like it was sort of like rushed at points, is because they were like, okay, we've written this show. It's called The Queen's Gambit. This is what it's about. Netflix, do you want to do it? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, okay, cool. You're going to do the 12 episodes, and they're like, we'll give you 7.
That's good though. Don't. It's like the biggest criticism of Netflix is like it's always like a few episodes too long.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the
In
Marvel
and
Netflix
out.
shows were
Yeah.
so much longer than they ever needed to
Yeah.
be.
It's
just
a
bit
lot of filler.
painful.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I liked about it, though. It was every episode was worth watching. There were no filler episodes, and
Yeah,
all
there
there are no filler characters or subplots. Every character exists for a reason, and every plot is resolved, and it's just satisfying on that level, I think, as well.
Yeah. Good show, worth the watch.
Cool.
Do you want to go, Dan? We started talking.
Sure thing. Well, I caught up with his Dark Materials this week. I'm now up to date.
I'm not.
Oh, you're not? Oh, for God's sake! Now you're
How the
turntables.
turntables.
I'm
Well.
about 20 minutes into episode. The latest
okay,
episode.
okay. Well, without spoiling it for you, I will say that I'm enjoying Series 2 better than Series 1. I think it's capturing the atmosphere of the books a little better. The pace in the story, it comes across better now. I think they've injected something into it which makes it just a little bit more compelling. There's humour in it as well. That was one of my criticisms of the first series, is that
Yes.
all the characters were very, very serious. Everyone took everything very, very seriously indeed, and it's like, come on, you know. Except for Lee Scoresby, he was kind of the comic relief. Now you're getting scenes that are funny, that feature other characters, and it's like, yeah, this is what I want. I want a bit of humanity in this.
Like
you
the
know?
bit when. What I have seen is the bit when Mrs. Coulter and. Oh, God. The guy in his house in our world.
Yeah,
and
Lord
he's like,
Boreal.
Yeah, and they're sat listening to music and she's really bored.
Yeah.
And they just sit, and he's like, "This is a bit of the wall that split the Berlin." She's like, "I don't care."
Yeah. And Mrs. Coulter is now becoming quite kind of. Some of her mannerisms are kind of just a little bit too over the top.
I
Like the way
can't
she
stand her.
Yeah.
She's in a different show. She's so
Yeah.
over the top. She's in the wrong show.
It kind of works for Mrs. Coulter, but sometimes it's just a little bit too affected.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I get the sense though that like that's actually it could be a good thing because it kind of makes for more funny moments like what we had in the latest episode. Like
yeah,
you
fair.
didn't. I won't spoil it. Fuck's sake, I can't spoil it. I was going to say something she said, but yeah, no, it's good. It's good. Enjoying it. Looking forward to the rest of
Yeah.
it.
I'll finish it off tonight, man. I'm sorry.
You better add to.
Go on, James.
I haven't really been watching much.
Oh, fair.
Just
Christian?
stuff mostly. Yeah. Move on.
You've not really been watching anything, no?
Well, no, it's just like, so, you know, I've been busy with certain things, like for the podcast, for this, watching films for that we'll talk about in other sections. I've been playing a little bit of like Xbox in between then, so you know, I finally got round to starting Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time. It's fun. To be fair, I've literally only played about a handful of levels. I got to the first boss fight and then put it down for a bit. It's fun. It's Crash Bandicoot. Like, you know, it's exactly what you think you're gonna get.
Oh, is it called It's About Time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought, like,
it's Crash Bandicoot
you
4.
said
It's
it.
about time. No.
Okay.
Because I think I'm assuming there's going to be some like time manipulation stuff at some point, and it's been so long since they made one.
Yeah. From watching the trailers, it's a double pun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's exactly what you expect from a Crash Bandicoot game. A few new mechanics thrown in there just to update a bit. It's alright. I'm enjoying it, man.
Platforming, jumping, spinning, frustration.
Yep. Not
Spinning, that's a good
frustrating
trick.
yet.
Not frustrating yet. Yet is the
Not yet.
You know,
Okay.
I remember playing the Insane trilogy, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do this to myself again, but I'll give it a go. And I played through the first few levels, and I was like, oh no, I'm finding this a lot easier. Maybe it's because I'm a lot older now. And then hit a certain level and was like, nope. It's just as hard as I remember.
I finished them all. I think Crash 1 was the only one in the Insane trilogy that I went through and did all of the gems and everything. I never got around to doing it with 2. I'd like to try and do this with Crash 4, like 100% it. My only thing I've never been good with is the time trials. Like I can take my time and do Crash, but I'm not a speedrunner.
Crash Bandicoot's a jerk, man.
I'm sorry, what?
Is he a little prick? Yeah.
Huh? He's a jerk. He wears jorts and spins around. Anyway,
He's an arrogant ass, isn't he?
I
Who do you
don't
think
have
he
such
is?
strong opinions on Crash
I was going to say,
Bandicoot,
what
He's
a
alright.
left-wing attack.
he's all right. It's probably because like he's died so many times when I've been controlling him, and I just blame him, not me. It's like you're a jerk,
so I think
mate,
maybe
you
you're the
dick.
problem.
No, possibly.
just out of the left field, just came straight for Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah. No, he's alright. He's alright. I'm glad.
Go on,
I'm glad
Christian.
you've been playing it.
I again haven't been watching a lot, but I have started and finished Spider-Man Miles Morales this week.
Miles what?
I was just about to say, I'm pretty sure
Mind.
Miles Morales?
Morales, isn't it?
Morales?
Yeah.
Get a load of this guy.
What's going
Yeah,
on in this
this
podcast,
guy.
man? Every week there's
This guy.
someone.
It's Christian's saying this.
You've played the
I
whole
don't
game,
know.
man. Surely they say his name in that.
No.
It's a Morales.
They say Miles. I don't think they ever say his...
Miles Morales.
Yeah.
Is that it?
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure, yeah.
They say his mum's last because, of course, like part of the story is she's running for governor of Harlem, and whenever I walk past people, they're like, "Oh yeah, Rio Morales."
Somebody's
I don't know.
wrong.
Yeah, someone's wrong somewhere. It's
Comment down
probably
below.
me.
Who's wrong?
I it's probably me. I've just been mispronouncing it this entire time, but
What a tit.
anyway, I'll say Morales from now on. But yeah, I've been playing Spider-Man Miles Morales. I started it and I finished it, and yeah, I mean it was everything that I sort of expected it to be. It's it's Miles Morales discovering who he is as a Spider-Man after the end of the first Spider-Man game. Peter goes on holiday with MJ and is like, right, I've trained you enough. You're in charge of protecting New York while I'm gone for a couple weeks. Just don't mess it up and call me if you need anything. And of course, Peter leaves, and the day after, everything goes wrong. Bridges explode, bad things happen, and Miles ends up in this whole sort of family-centric conspiracy around taking over and destroying Harlem. And it's very short, but and very contained as far as the Spider-Man compared to the other Spider-Man game. It's a short, like 10-hour story with a bunch of sort of short side quest stuff to do around New York, but it is that it feels like that's what it's meant to be. It's like an in-between game. It's like
It's like a little PS.
An in-between.
yeah. It's like it's almost a standalone DLC. It feels like they were gonna release it as DLC, and then they were like, no, this is too big for DLC, so we'll release it as a full title. It's got a lot of improvements on the first game, and they've changed just enough about the combat because they've added Miles's extra powers of like turning invisible and being able to harness bioelectricity and stuff.
I was just gonna say, is it a coincidence that everything goes to shit once Peter leaves, or do they make it a thing of like the villains are like, oh, well now that the real Spider-Man's gone, it's our time to move in? Because surely it's a very easy way to just do that, and it makes sense rather than it just be like, oh, it happens that when he left.
Without giving too
Yeah.
much away, the villains are aware that because part of Miles dealing with it is like at the beginning of the game, there's like a few side missions where you help people out, and they specifically call for Spider-Man to come and help them out. And Miles turns up and is like, "Hey, what's up?" And they're like, "Where's the other Spider-Man? The real Spider-Man?" And he's like, "Oh, he's on holiday. Can I help?" And they're like, "Yes, suppose you can help." So it's like no one treats him seriously as Spider-Man. So of course villains think they can get away with a lot more.
I do want to try it. It's absolutely on my list. I'll be honest, I checked if it went on sale for Black Friday and it didn't. I think if it had, I definitely would have bought it then.
Yeah. I
I'm just
mean,
waiting until I've got the money.
Spider-Man's a jerk, man. Just a dickhead in a spider suit.
I feel like you're a bit of a Scrooge this week, Dan.
No, I'm fine. I like Spider-Man.
But
I like
yeah, it's a good game. I'd recommend it.
I'm all for Spider-Man.
No.
I just wanted to do a callback.
No,
to
it's
Hey.
all like that.
Let's crack on with the main, lads. Let's have a talk about some Christmas movies. We recently did a Time of Saw Trash on one of the best Christmas films, Jingle All the Way. Represent.
Would have been great if you'd worn that for the episode, Ben.
Yeah.
If I'm honest.
Oh.
Would have been great if you hadn't
forgot.
remembered about the t-shirt 5 minutes after we stopped recording.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I've worn it now, though.
That's fine.
Would anyone like to go? Is anyone dying to talk about a specific Christmas film that might be one of their favourites?
I am dying hard to talk about my favourite Christmas film. It's one that I watch every year with my family. Love Actually. No, genuinely, like I think
roller coaster.
I think I'd have to say that Love Actually is it's definitely one of my favourite Christmas films, just because of.
Oh, he's serious.
Oh, yeah, deadly
He's
serious.
Have you seen any Christmas
No.
films?
Yeah, I've seen the others, and it's maybe not the most fun, but it's more just for like what that film means to me. Like, it's the film that me, my mum, and my sister, we always sit down and watch together, and it's like it doesn't really feel like Christmas until I've watched
Yeah.
Love Actually.
There's nothing quite says Christmas like a man cheating on his wife.
Yeah.
With a young office worker.
That's only part of the film. Shut up.
I just think it's a lovely film. The music when it swells, like you can't not just feel great watching it, and just the way that it handles so many twining storylines so well. Like, they've tried to do it afterwards, like with He's Just Not That Into You, New Year's Eve, and like multiple other ones, and it's never quite worked as well. They've never really recaptured that like essence of how it works so well. And it just, every time you watch it, you find a new joke, and the joke that you've seen 100 times you can still laugh at. It's just a really lovely film, like heartwarming.
Well, I
Creepy.
disagree. It's awful. No, yeah, Ben. I think you were going to bring up the same scene, the scene with Andrew Lincoln,
Rick
and,
Grimes.
where that does that play well today? I don't know. Where
Oh
he's
no,
actually...
I am aware that like there are certain bits that it hasn't aged well, and I think like that's essentially what I'm saying, is that maybe the film itself isn't the best Christmas film, but it resonates the most with me just because it's my family's thing.
Sentimental
you know what I mean?
value.
Yeah,
The
big
Andrew
sentimental
Lincoln
value.
scene's funnier, I think, when you realise, I think in real life, Keira Knightley's like 17.
Really?
Yeah.
I think she's
What, in
so,
Love Actually?
yeah,
She's really
like,
young.
She's like 17 to 20 years old in
Yeah.
that film.
I think she might be 19.
Yeah, and then you've got Danny's looking it up. And you've got Andrew Lincoln being like, "To me, you're perfect. Are you legal? Like, are you of age?"
Oh dear.
But yeah, like
it's a weird scene.
I guess the strength of it is like you do get a sense of this, because there's so many characters. You do get a sense of them all. On the top of my head, I don't think there's any that. I don't know if there's any. Is there any that go by the wayside, James? Maybe Keira Knightley. I don't know. I can't
What do you
really
mean go
remember.
by the wayside?
Like some that kind of like aren't as well established as others,
Oh,
and kind of a bit maybe more forgettable. So one of my favourites is the guy from My Family that goes off to America.
Colin.
He's good.
So it's just got that like Richard Curtis style all over it, though, hasn't it? With the fake London and the fake people that don't actually exist, and everyone's like white, and, and there's no poverty, and everything's just happy and smiley and wonderful.
But it's got Hugh Grant dancing around 10 Downing Street. How can you not love it?
I mean, fair enough, James. Good point there. No.
Is it we didn't you read out a review, James, where the review was like, what party is he with? Is he conservative? Or
Yeah,
is he
they'd be able to
Labour?
enjoy the film a lot more if they knew for sure that he wasn't a Tory.
It's deliberately ambiguous. They didn't want to say either way, so he acts kind of Labour.
Yeah, a mass
But
audience.
he's wearing a blue tie.
Yeah, he's posh, but he acts Labour, but he's posh. So
Yeah.
what's going on there? And like, you know,
Fair enough.
fair play to Rowan Atkinson for making packaging quite
The classic scene, yeah.
entertaining, a famous scene. That's all he needs
Yeah.
to
That's
do.
brilliant.
You know.
Yeah. No, good pick, James. Good pick. It's nice that you have that with what? I'm not. That's not like I'm being patronising.
Most
No.
patch. Good, James.
No.
Good pick, James.
No,
Good
I mean
pick.
it's sorry, okay. It's nice that you you have that, you watch that with your family. That's very nice,
nice.
very Christmassy
It is
for
nice.
sure. So
Go on, Dan.
well, I thought you were going to say Die Hard, but I'm not gonna be one of these people who says Die Hard. Is it a Christmas film? Oh, I don't care. My favourite Christmas film is The Muppets Christmas Carol.
Yeah, he said it.
Because, why wouldn't it be? Why wouldn't it be? You've got A Christmas Carol, a classic tale written by Charles Dickens. Very, very good just on its own. Amazing. The premise, everything. You got Scrooge,
But
the
Dan,
ghosts.
what could make it better?
What could make it better? What can we apply to this to make it better? And the answer is Michael Caine. Wait, what? As well as Michael Caine, obviously, they've also added Muppets.
And everybody loves a Muppet, don't they, Dan?
Everybody loves a Muppet. And I think it's just a really, really nice Christmas film. It's got such a lovely atmosphere all the way through. It's really silly. It's really daft. It's got the Muppet sense of humour. But it's also got some strong songs. It's got a good heart. And also, mentioning Michael Caine, he's pretty good in it. I think he's all right. He doesn't blow the role out of the water or anything, but he's pretty good. One of my favourite pieces of the film is when the Ghost of Christmas Present he's all being very cheerful and very up and very kind of like Ghost of Christmas Present-y. Yeah. And Michael Caine's just kind of like completely dazed out of his mind. He doesn't know what the hell's going on. He's got this massive like thing that's just basically all in his face. And you can also sort of tell that Michael Caine's just sort of phoning it in a bit. He's a bit tired. Like lunch is coming up on set and everything, and like and the Ghost of Christmas Present's like he says something, he repeats himself, and the Ghost of Christmas Present goes, "Did I already say that?" And Michael Caine goes, "You did, yeah." completely tuned out. He's just his mind is obviously elsewhere. People look out for it if you watch it this Christmas.
They were
I always
filming
find
in
it really
July.
yeah, that's it. It's like,
It was like his agent had turned round to him and been like, "Oh, we're gonna get you in a version of a Christmas Carol that's filming," and he was like, "Oh yeah," dead excited, and then he turns up to the set and sees Kermit the Frog being unpacked, and he's like, "Oh God, no!"
He thought it was a really serious thespian version until like fucking Cookie Monster appeared. No, he's from Sesame Street.
I remember is it the Ghost of Christmas Future being like pretty creepy?
Yeah,
It's like it looks like it's just like this. The black is it just like a no face and this billowing.
That's it. Really, really kind of scary looking. I remember when I first saw it as like a little kid. I always hated that bit. In all Christmas carols, I always dreaded the bit at the end where the Ghost of Christmas Future would appear, because it would always be some like freak like skeleton in a robe or something. I'd just be like, "Oh, I just want it to be over. I don't like it." But yeah, and the Muppets Christmas Carol one is pretty scary as well. They did a good job with that. Because he's got all those horrible little, hasn't he got all those like horrible little hands and stuff inside of him, and like it's just
Yeah,
gross.
I think so. Yeah, under his robe and stuff.
Yeah, it's just
I
I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's like it's
Yeah.
not nice.
I remember being really sad for the Ghost of Christmas Present, because isn't he like he goes through his whole? It's his life, isn't it? He ages really quickly.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he says I've got to go now. I don't get to
it's
stay
really
here.
sad. He's got like a white beard and stuff. Oh.
Yeah. But he seemed, he's pretty happy. He seemed pretty happy.
Dead though.
He's dead now. Yeah, but
All right, no need
Interesting.
to put a dampener on the Muppets. Jeez.
it's a little reference to maybe my Christmas dinner plans for later in the podcast.
Maybe mine too.
Oh,
Maybe another reference to one I'll talk about now. I'm a huge fan of Christian. I'm a huge fan of The Grinch.
Yeah.
Specifically, the Benedict Cumberbatch. No. The Jim Carrey version. I think it's just a marvelous comedic dialogue film that always makes me laugh. Ever so quotable. Am I just eating because I'm bored? It's so good. I think if you're not a fan of Jim Carrey, you just like, I don't know how you can enjoy this. To be honest, it's like it's almost like full Carrey, like Ace Ventura and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think they've the adaptation of like the Whoville world and the look of the Whovilles. They've like nailed it. I think because they hired Rick Baker, the really famous special effects like guru. I think it was Rick Baker to do the effects like for the Grinch and for the people of Whoville, and it just looks great.
Was it the first Dr. Seuss adaptation, like live action, to film?
I think it was the first live action one.
Yeah,
Maybe.
so like I feel like it was why we got all the others. Like it's why we got Cat in the Hat and that, because it was so good.
It's possible. I don't know actually. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think it's so. I wanted so bad to live in the cave in the mountain as a kid. I just thought it was the coolest thing. Where he's got like a zip line to his seat, and that the bed was just, even though it was really grimy, I thought when he rips off his socks and they crawl away was hilarious. And he argues with his own echo. He's like, I'm an idiot. You're an idiot. It's just like. These things so when they're singing the carols, and he's like, blast this Christmas music. It's joyful and triumphant. It's just like, I just think it's so funny. It's like, she'll be scarred for life if we're lucky. Like, it's Cindy Lou. It's just so funny. I like the dad, like Cindy Lou's dad. Oh, the bit. Oh, it's just so good. The trials for the Grinch, when the old women turn up. Are you two still living? Like, that quote, I say it all. Like, the quotes I say like all the time, and like one of my favorite bits is when they're shoving food in the Grinch's mouth, and they're giving him pudding, and there's just one old guy that goes, "This is not pudding," and just shoves it in his mouth. Funny stuff, man.
Have you ever seen Jim Carrey talking about like how he dealt with all the prosthetics on his face?
He said he had like training to deal with the pain.
Apparently they got the same guy who trains CIA agents not to crack under torture to come in and teach him techniques, because he said like there was so much on his face it felt like he was being buried alive. So they were like, one of the big ones is, not the most healthy one, but smoking, it does just help, like it will calm you down and kind of do that. But obviously he'd got all the hair as well, so he couldn't get cigarettes too close to his face. So apparently, like, between takes, Jim Carrey was just chain smoking cigarettes through, you know, like the Cruella de Vil long pipe thing. Just chain smoking through them to get him through the filming of the Grinch.
I'd love a picture of that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
When he's like looking for an advert, he's like, ooh. That's it, I'm not going. Like, it's just like so good.
I feel like the Grinch, like, if it weren't for Love Actually taking the top spot, Grinch is absolutely a contender.
The Grinch is in my top 3, along with Jingle All the Way and one other. Maybe Christian will say it. Let's find out.
Oh, now you've put a lot of pressure on now, because I think I know what film you're leaning towards, and there was another one I was going to mention, but I guess I'll mention this one first. Gremlins. Oh dear,
Oh, God.
I've upset him.
We've had a diva fit.
Was that the right film?
No, because I walked off. I stormed off. It wasn't Gremlins. Go anyway.
Yeah, no, Gremlins is one I watch every year. You know, back before I was old enough, I would watch the cut down version on TV that, you know, got rid of a ton of the intense violence, and then eventually I watched the version that has all of the intense violence and was like, wow, this is a way darker Christmas movie than I remember, but still is like, maybe it's timeless, possibly.
Maybe we'll find out.
Could be trash.
Maybe. But no, it's one of the films that I like. I always make sure I watch it every year. Last year I was lucky enough to go to the cinema to see it, which was a great experience, having not seen it in the cinema before. I don't know, there's just something about that film. Like, it's like I say, it's horribly dark, but it's also
It's entertaining.
Yeah, it's super entertaining and also has some like warm Christmassy moments.
Yeah, like when the woman reveals that her dad died in the chimney trying to be Santa Claus. Lovely and
Not
Christmassy.
that moment. That's
Really quite dark.
very dark.
I remember as a
But-
kid just wanting a Mogwai so
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
Wanting, oh,
Yeah, and then Furbies were a thing, and I changed my mind.
yeah. Little vermin. I'm a huge fan of Gremlins 2 as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Specifically the
talking one.
scientist gremlin. I can't remember the lines of dialogue, but there's bits where it's like, "Look at this old chap," and he like shoot, and one of the gremlins like shoots themselves or something, or he shoots one of them. It's so good.
I don't know, like Gremlins is such a unique like duo of films because, like you say, it is dark, but then also you have the sequence where they walk into the cinema and all of the gremlins are just sat throwing around popcorn and
Yeah,
like laughing to themselves and.
Very true to real life.
Yeah.
We may work. It's just crazy how Gremlins 1 and Gremlins 2 are so like tonally different, and like 2 is like a total parody of the first one, and it's not awful. like 2's like great. I wanted to 2's like I think great for kids. I think you'd show Gremlins 1 maybe they're a bit older. I don't know. We'd have to rewatch it and see.
Gremlins was one of them things that sort of, even though it is a Christmas film, it was one of those sort of early films where I watched it and I was like, oh, maybe I'd like horror movies because it is that sort of weird horror comedy
It awoke
Christmas
something
film,
inside of you.
like Frankenstein amalgamation.
Yeah, it's the 80s when that's what was appropriate for kids in the 80s. Like, yeah. This is for kids.
No, I don't think it was ever a kids' film because it was a 15, wasn't it, or was it even an 18?
It was
released?
a 15.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kids.
It's like and
They're gonna be 15, so they'll watch it.
Yeah, I think it's been lowered to a 12 now, and Gremlins 2 that was a 12 is now a PG.
Okay. But yeah, they're Gremlins is really great.
Yeah, it's so good, and I don't know, it just reminds me of all those other sort of similar like films that I watched at that age, like Small Soldiers.
Yes.
Yes. I don't know. It's just definitely one of those films that I absolutely adore because it is sort of half cutesy fun, half sort of horrific.
That's what Christmas is all about.
Yeah.
Vengeance. Oh, I mean presents.
It's just like the sequences where they're cutting between like Stripe melting away, and then Gizmo sat there in his little red car.
I think I've got him. I got James.
Did you ruin him?
Whacked out a Grinch quote. Every year, shout out to my dad. Every year he like gets me to like say, Ben, what's Christmas about? I go, vengeance. It was in His Dark Materials, Danny, when she's talking to the angels and she's like, What are you doing this all for, angels? And they go, vengeance. And I just laughed because I was trying to be the Grinch. I'll quickly mention.
Comes back to the Grinch.
Everything, it really does. To quickly mention the one, my top three, Jingle Away, Grinch, not in that order. The third one for me is Tim Allen's The Santa Claus. I love Tim Allen's The Santa Claus. It's very strange.
Yeah, it's mental.
It's like when we watched Jingle Away, Dan, like it went places, didn't it?
Certainly. And
like Santa Claus kind of goes a bit more with it. It's like it's our world, but then it just kind of goes off the rails a bit. But it's got a great lead performance by Tim Allen. His slow descent into forcibly becoming Santa with he has no choice.
It's like there's that whole conversation of like, is it a curse? Like, has this man now been cursed to be Santa for the rest of his life? It's mental.
Yeah, there's a bit
but
where
I kind of love it.
he shaves off the beard because he's physically transforming without his consent, and he shaves off the beard, and then it just regrows himself, and he's like, I'm in big trouble. It's great. There's I don't want to say there's a glorious bit involving ZZ Top in a dance. That's just the best. Don't want to say too much,
Enough said.
but it's
I mean,
the best.
you had me at ZZ Top.
So good, and like what they do with the elves and Bernard's great, and yeah, I love Santa
And
Claus.
again, the theme of a dad trying to win
Yeah.
back the affection of his son.
Yeah,
It's a big theme in like all the 90s Christmas films.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
does anyone else have any ones they want to throw out?
Don't think so.
The only other one that I like when we were thinking this instantly came to mind, but I was like, we've already pretty much said everything that we could say on this film, is I will always love Home Alone. Like, that is one of my favourite. I'd say
Yeah.
Love
two.
Actually, Home Alone and Grinch are sort of my top three.
I'm a big fan of Home Alone 3. I really like Home Alone 3. As a kid,
Home
I
Alone 3 's
I
good.
think I enjoyed
Pretty
the
good.
traps. It might not be any good anymore, but I
It's
did enjoy
not as Christmassy though. Like, I know it. There's little elements of it, but there's no like Christmas decorations really. It's
it.
more
In
just like
3.
yeah, it's not very Christmassy. It is
Snow.
set at Christmas, and it is. Oh, that's what I mean. Like, there's snow, and I'm pretty sure the premise is that he gets the toy car because someone gives it to him as a present. But yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
fair
know.
point.
It's just a little decent film. I
Like
like
Die Hard's not about Christmas.
it. True.
An honourable mention as well must go to Scrooged. I don't know if any of you guys have seen
I
that.
haven't actually seen Scrooged.
That's
That might
quite.
be-
You
That
love your
is a-
Christmas Carol. That's all you want to watch, Danny. Is the Christmas Carol but with different actors.
Just every different version of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And is that? I cut this out if I'm incorrect, James. But I think that's the. No, it's not. I'm conflating it with something else, or maybe I'm not. Like at the end, it kind of breaks the fourth wall a bit, but I think I'm getting it mixed up with something else that Bruce Willis was in. Not Bruce, even though Bruce Willis isn't in
Bruce
Scrooge.
Willis.
No, I've got the scene at the end of Scrooge where, because he's like a TV producer, isn't he? And he. But
Keep going.
no, you'll get. This will make sense why I mentioned Bruce Willis. Because there's a scene at the end of Scrooge where he's a TV producer and he becomes this, basically he's Scrooge and he becomes this massively joyful Christmas person and gets the whole TV studio singing, I think. But then Bruce Willis was in a TV series called Moonlighting before Die Hard. And a very similar thing happened with that show where they broke the fourth wall at the very end, where they had... It was him and the leading actress of Moonlighting in a TV studio, and suddenly they start addressing the audience, and the camera tracks back, and you see all the camera crew and everything, and I don't really know what my point is, but yeah, it just like the ending is good.
Is it like Christmas? They're quite talking about them as a whole. Christmas films, I think they're quite hard to get right. Do you think? Like, and if you think about it, there's not that. I feel like the ones that are like really worth the time. Is it quite a limited list? Do you guys think?
In general, but I don't feel like many get made.
Yeah,
really.
I'd argue that quite a lot get made, but they get pushed to the way. It's very rare that a Christmas classic comes along. You know, like because people have to like sort of see a Christmas film and then embrace it. You know, it was like. But before The Grinch came out, there was probably hundreds of Christmas films each year that came out, and then The Grinch came out. People saw it because it was a big Christmas film, and that has since been embraced as a Christmas film. I can't say that many recently have had that happen.
There might be one because I was going to mention it as an honorable mention. The Kurt Russell Christmas Chronicles from last year. It's pretty decent. And Kurt Russell as Santa Claus is a bang-on casting. They've nailed it. I remember that one being quite decent. But yeah, like what was the last great overall liked Christmas? Maybe Elf.
Yeah,
from
probably Elf in
15
2003.
plus years. Yeah, like is that maybe the last one?
Even then, that's got a lot of negativity around it now, mainly because people are kind of sick of seeing it.
It's a bit like Christmas songs, I suppose, isn't it? Like.
Yeah,
it's like
it's the same ones.
We've got this pool of Christmas songs that we draw from every year that are occasionally added to, but it's weird. It's like no one really chooses what gets put in the pool. It's just like a collective sort of decision of society.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
somehow that Darkness song that was basically a parody of Christmas songs is
Oh,
now pretty much a Christmas song, and that's on every year.
That is my favourite Christmas song.
There we go.
I love the darkness.
I think it's kind of the same with films as well. It's like
Yeah.
maybe that Christmas Chronicles will soon be put into that pool, and
Maybe.
people will judge it the same way.
Yeah. I do have a couple of others to mention. I will bring up the Polar Express.
James has reacted. I've not seen the Polar Express.
The Uncanny Valley film.
Exactly. It's horrible.
It is.
It's genuinely unsettling to watch.
I read the book as a kid, and I really enjoyed the book. I mean, it's not a very long book. It's like that thick. But no, I remember enjoying the book as a kid, and then the film came out, and the film it's a very good film that looks horrendous.
It's worth
so
watching.
creepy to look at now, but because I remember watching it when it came out, and I was like, oh yeah, I love this, and then I remembered it a couple of years ago, and I was like, oh, I should give that a watch again, and I think I got half an hour in, and I was like, no, this is terrifying.
It's horrible.
I wonder if it's a time or trash contender.
It definitely
maybe
has to
another
be.
year.
I
I've never
reckon we
seen
should.
it.
I reckon we should definitely watch
Yeah.
it at some point, because it's a very hard film to look at now. But it does have that great sequence where they drift a train across ice.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's cool.
that sounds all right.
Yeah. Don't know what you're saying.
Yeah,
James.
train drifting. You don't get that in any other Christmas film, to my knowledge. Well, I've got one more that I briefly want to mention anyway, which was the one I was originally going to mention. It's not one that you'll have seen, but it's one that I want you to all go off and watch.
Okay.
Because I think it's become part of my Christmas rotation since it came out a couple of years ago. It's Anna and the Apocalypse.
Okay.
You might not have even heard of it.
I've heard the title.
No?
But you can close your eyes and you can imagine this. Imagine High School Musical, set at Christmas, mash it together with Shaun of the Dead, and set it in Scotland.
Oh, I'm in.
I'm sold.
I can see it.
It's just a bizarre zombie horror comedy Christmas musical set in Scotland about a bunch of sixth formers who are about to go off to uni, and then all of a sudden the small Scottish town that they're trying to escape from ends up overrun with zombies I think it's on Christmas Day, or it's just before Christmas Day. But it's got some great musical sequences, some solid acting from people who don't if you look at their IMDb pages, they don't have pictures. They're not in
Yeah,
anything else.
unknown,
This is
right.
literally the only thing they've done.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just a funny, bizarre film that, it does. A lot of the posters had it as La La Land meets Shaun of the Dead, and that is exactly the perfect way to describe it.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
cool.
the first thing. I didn't close my eyes then, Christian, because I was Googling it. So
Yeah,
I was
I
looking,
was wondering why
looking
you're
with
being
my
rude.
eyes.
Yeah.
Sorry for being rude.
No, it's fine.
But yeah, that's the first thing that I saw. Shaun of the
Yeah.
Dead meets La La Land.
Is it on any? Is it on any streaming?
it is
keeping it on-
on streaming services, because I
Oh.
watched it 4 days ago on, I believe it's on Now TV.
Useless.
Somebody have
Don't
that.
have it.
Well, you should probably get it, because it's got some good films on there at the moment.
I'll give that figure out a watch. Scotland,
Yeah.
Christmas, zombies.
Musical.
Hmm.
I'm telling you, it's got some great sequences. There's even one that I believe is a direct sort of High School Musical-ish parody, where they're in the cafeteria, and then one of them starts singing, and then you see them start banging the trays to create the
Oh,
beat,
right.
and then they all stand up and dance around the tables, which
Cool.
is something
Kind of.
that I am ashamed to admit I know happens in at least one of the High School Musical films.
I think you're referring to Stick to the Status Quo from the first film.
God.
God, I know the song as well. I could sing you the song.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised, James. You've not said like some sort of Disney Christmas special, as you fit like a Hannah Montana.
Yeah, but it's not a Christmas film.
Yeah, but I thought you would have whacked one in anyway.
No. If we're doing Christmas special episodes, there's loads to go.
Oh yeah, that's an entire new podcast.
Yeah, that's next year's next Christmas. Talk about Futurama.
Oh God, so many good Christmas specials.
Should we have a Christmas meal for dessert?
Christmas dinner.
Let's all sit down for Christmas dinner together.
Yeah.
So this week's hypothetical, we've decided if we were going to have, is it any three?
Any three.
Any three characters from a Christmas film have round for Christmas dinner. Who are we going to have? Would anyone like to go first? Danny's going first.
Shall I go first?
Yeah.
Well, this was a tough one really because I didn't want to be too obvious with the Christmas characters. But first on my list is, as mentioned before, I'm sorry if you got this guy, Ben. But I'm inviting the Ghost of Christmas Present to my dinner. I'm sorry. You can have him as well.
He's gonna be a busy guy. It's like the Vicar of Dibley, just running around all them houses.
Yeah. There's enough of him to go around. You know, I'm sure he'll be able to keep up. He is, after all, a supernatural presence of some sort, an entity. But yeah, he basically sums up Christmas, doesn't he? That guy. He's just absolutely buzzing about Christmas all the time. So, from what I've seen as well, he's into his food. You know, he's always got a lot of food around him, big platters of, you know, nice Christmas stuff. So I think, you know, he'd bring that vibe with him to the Christmas dinner. I'd take some, you know, cooking tips off him. You know, see if I don't know if he can cook, but I'm sure he knows people who can cook. He seems to have contacts. So he's definitely coming to the Christmas meal. Maybe we need something to balance out the vibe a little bit. Maybe that's a little bit too up and positive. So I'm also going to invite John McClane from Die Hard, because it is a Christmas film after all. I think, well, I've got an ulterior motive for inviting John McCain, but we'll get to that.
John who?
I was going to say
John McCain, the Republican presidential candidate. Who could forget? I don't want to invite him. It'd be difficult anyway because he is dead. But,
Ghost of Christmas Present will bring him back, man.
That's true. I could have him. Yeah, he seemed like an alright guy, to be honest. Anyway, it's not a politics podcast, is it?
Our favourite politicians next week. Look out for it.
John McClane.
The Christmas Day politician talk.
So yeah, he seems like, you know, you balance out the Christmas Presents, kind of almost manic energy, and maybe they'd have a good conversation. You know, they'd pick each other's brains. You know, they'd see what made each other tick. You know, I've got a lot to say about. I've got a lot to ask John McClane. You know, I'd ask his opinion
about his policies.
About his policy, healthcare, defence, healthcare. Have I already said healthcare? Yeah. Jesus Christ, man! Right, okay. Healthcare, defence, healthcare.
What point in Die Hard are you invited? Is it before the start? Is it the start of the film, John McClane? At the end of the film? Have you thought about that?
During the John McCain from during the film, so I'd just dip in with the hand of God and take him out of.
So he's got no shoes.
Nakatomi Plaza. He's got no shoes. He's covered in blood.
You wouldn't just have like. You wouldn't just be like sat round the Christmas table like we're just waiting for our third guest to turn up. Alan Rickman crashes through the roof.
Yeah, that's where he falls from.
John McCain comes in afterwards, and you're like, cool, he's here.
But yeah, the guy, you know, at whatever point of his life I choose to bring him in, I feel like he needs some TLC. You know, he needs a little bit of chicken or turkey, rather. He needs a little bit of turkey. He needs a good hearty meal. And yeah, so for my third choice, bit of a weird one, but I'm really intrigued by this character, and I think John McClane could really help. Help me find out more about him. I'm going to invite Peter McAllister from Home Alone. because
Oh.
I don't have any interest in him as a person. I would invite him on.
The
I'd
dad?
deceive him.
Yeah.
The dad. from Home Alone. Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, the invite is a deception. It's entrapment, essentially, because I want to know what he does for a living, quite frankly. And who better to find that out than John McClane?
And arrest him for his drug cartel business.
I want to find out what the hell he did, because there's various theories on the internet. We touched upon it in the Timeless or Trash video for Home Alone. What does he do? And I'm sick of not knowing. There's theories that I actually googled it. I think it's, what did it say now? Something to do with real estate or something. Yeah, like he's no, that was it. He's like a banker or a day trader or something like that. And the mum is in fashion. I don't know where they've got this information from, but I don't buy it, quite frankly.
That's all the fun.
Yeah, that's
I don't
weird.
buy it. I don't buy it. So yeah, I'm gonna have John McClane interrogate and Christmas Ghost of Christmas Present. I'm sure he's got a pretty heavy punch. So.
Muscle.
He's
So
a
he can get involved.
Muppet, so
If you want to go, I'll go.
Then after we find out, find out, we can all have a nice Christmas dinner.
Lovely
And that's-
stuff.
Okay. Who's next?
I'll go if you want.
Go on.
Because I also had planned on bringing Peter McAllister to mine, mainly because I figured at the end of it, he'll probably just fly us all to Paris, and it'd be great.
I was going to say he would pay for the food.
Oh, easily,
He'd
yeah.
get the food.
He's there to bankroll it all.
I'm sorry, James. I've
No,
stolen
it's
two
fine.
of your-
It's fine.
It's almost like there aren't very many Christmas characters.
Wow, yeah. Maybe you can come to mine first, because I don't want the shell of a man that you're going to be sending me after John McClane is done with him. And then my other two, I think I'd have to go Jim Carrey's Grinch, because he's just fascinating as a character, and I reckon there's not going to be a dull moment when you're surrounded by him. And then we'll just round it off with Tim Allen's Santa Claus, because who's going to make you feel more Christmassy than Santa himself?
very true. Very
Cute.
true.
Is that?
Actual Santa.
Do you have any? I'll go next if you want to.
Yeah, sure.
Do it. So, two of mine have been said. But sort of. I debated bringing the Grinch just because I want to eat the roast beast that they have at the end. Because I would have brought the Grinch from the end of the film, because he's got all the food in the sleigh. It's already there. And the gifts, so we have that. But I'd only bring the Grinch because I actually want Max the dog. I just want to cuddle the dog, and I think he's really great. And I would also bring in Kurt Russell's Santa Claus, because I like Kurt Russell.
Because you want to hang out with Kurt
And I
Russell.
want to hang out with Kurt Russell. And he's got like magic powers. He implies in the film that the Dark Ages and World Wars were because people lost their Christmas spirit, and I want to know why he somehow has this effect on history that everything gone wrong is to do with him. I thought that'd be quite interesting. And he's got like a really great big bushy beard. And for my third guest, I would have the Polka King, John Candy from Home Alone, because I love John Candy. My first thought was to have him from Planes and Trains, but I think that's technically a Thanksgiving movie, so I don't think that counted. But I thought, I'll have John Candy because he's really great, and he could play his clarinet, some of his polka of his tunes that were sold well in Sheboygan. They sold well there. I think that with Kurt Russell, Candy, and the dog, maybe the Grinch or Christmas Present, it would be a really warm evening and lots of fun. And presiding and waiting over us as a special guest, I would have Tim Curry from Home Alone 2 waiting on us. Pouring. Would you want a pizza? I would have him just help us out, because there's a lot of food from the Grinch's roast beast, and we need an extra hand just to stand and help. So they would be my picks for my Christmas Day meal.
Very
Christian.
good, very good.
Sounds good. I want, like, for a Christmas meal, you've all gone with, sort of people you could sit down with, chat with. I want utter chaos. I want like mass chaos as a Christmas dinner, because it doesn't feel like Christmas dinner unless it's complete and utter chaos.
Mm.
So I also started with Gus Polinski, the Poker King,
Yes.
from Home Alone, and I put the rest of the Kenosha Kickers as well, because I figured he just doesn't turn up without them.
Yeah, they're in that van.
He just takes them wherever.
Yeah.
So, just all of them piled
counts
into
as
one
one.
chair.
Yeah.
That still only counts as one.
Yeah.
I'd invite the Swedish chef from A Muppets Family Christmas. He's a good chef, He can bring along his chocolate mousse. He can, bring along the turkey. In that special, he hangs out with Big Bird as well.
You get Big Bird. Get all the
Yeah, because he tries to cook Big Bird. It's a whole thing.
Oh, okay. Would you eat Big Bird?
I wouldn't eat Big Bird.
Okay.
No. He decides in the end after singing a song with Big Bird that they shouldn't cook Big Bird because he's full of Christmas spirit.
Because he's a sentient being.
Yeah, that too. To complete my absolute chaos, because of course the Swedish chef is the most chaotic. Besides Animal, he's probably the most chaotic Muppet out there. I would also add Myron Larrabee from Jingle All the Way.
Oh, Sinbad.
Bring the postman, because between his ramblings and conspiracy theories, the absolute chaos of having an entire poker troupe, and the Swedish chef running around with his chocolate mousse and his turkey,
Yeah.
it would just be my ideal chaotic Christmas dinner. It would just be absolutely mental. Plus, Myron Larrabee has the Turbo Man doll at the end, and I want that.
Oh, yeah. So he's in the full garb, brain.
Oh yeah.
Launching
He's-
fist.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
I basically I'm paying his bail to get him at my Christmas dinner.
Yeah. You'd finally get your hands on the Turbo Man doll.
Exactly.
My life's ambition. Well,
Did they actually do Turbo Man dolls?
No, God damn it, they did it.
They did.
I don't think
They did Turbo Man dolls when the film released back in 1996, but
Wow.
they're
all sold out.
very hard to come by.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't know that.
It will be mine. Oh yes, it will be mine. One day.
I feel like for the 20th anniversary they should re-release them.
Oh, that'd be so good.
That's an idea. Look, you've got 4 years. You've got 4 years to. No,
Well,
6 years.
Yeah, it's gonna
You've
say
got 6 years.
Good maths,
I can't maths.
because we're 24. So it's 96.
I can't maths. Shut up.
Well, on that breakdown, we'll. I thought that was wicked, guys. Thank you
Yeah.
for your
It's been
Christmas,
lovely.
your Christmas dinners.
Nice little
Sorry,
Christmas podcast there.
Let us know in the comments who you would have as your guests and some of your Christmas favourite films.
Is there any we missed?
Is there any we missed? Yeah. Is there
We
any?
undoubtedly have missed some.
Oh yeah.
Is there any we've got wrong? Is the Grinch bad? No. It's your opinion. And we'll see you next week, right, guys?
Yeah. it's been
Oh
brilliant.
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. See you
We'll
later,
be
guys.
back on Christmas Day.
Oh God, yeah. Can't believe we're celebrating Christmas Day together.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be great.
It's gonna be really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See you on Christmas Day, guys.
See you on Christmas Day.
Day.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.